Hi everyone, welcome to the Tuning Fork channel. My name is Layne and I'm creating this channel because I've gone through a spiritual awakening. Well, many at this point. I would say that you usually have many, but I will just kind of say that there's usually one that kind of sets off your healing path or your spirituality, however you want to think about it. Some people can see a spiritual awakening almost as like a midlife crisis, right? Something happens in your life that kind of triggers you to slow down and really reflect, which is a beautiful thing. It's depending on how you want to look at it, right? If you're choosing to say, hey, I have things I need to look at within myself because clearly things need to change, resisting that change actually makes this process a lot harder. But another thing that makes this process hard is that, you know, I had to like pull from different resources, even resources that I wasn't always comfortable in the beginning looking at because it went against certain beliefs. But that is like kind of the entire point of a spiritual awakening is like learning to be able to take in new information. And you're kind of in this place of like my old self versus my new self. And it's like most of us have not really done this work to say it's okay to change. And we don't really want to do this work because it's like, if I discredit everything from my past, who am I? Right? And I'm hoping to make this journey easier for those who are going through it, those who are just interested, because I would argue that if you kind of start these topics without having like a huge explosive moment, that if you do it incrementally, you don't need that huge moment that rocks your world because you're always changing and evolving and not afraid of being a new person. So, I call us the tuning forks because what does a tuning fork do, right? You hit it. I feel like I should get one just for the channel. Um, do I have it? Okay. When you hit a tuning fork, it has a frequency, and if anything, you are trying to tune your voice or an instrument to that frequency. But the tuning fork holds its own. It holds its own. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to become our natural, authentic, vibrant, or not, if that's not your vibe. We're trying to become ourselves. And what prevents us from becoming ourselves? Well, one, not taking in new information, the lenses of trauma that we have come across, feeling like we're contained in this box that society or a culture or a religion has put on us. And don't get me wrong, even as I did this work, there's parts of my old self that I'm like, hey, this is me. This is a part of me. But like that doesn't mean I can't add to who I am. So this is for very open-minded individuals as well. But I will also state that as I have these discussions with you guys, I'm also trying to remain very common language, because that's another thing is like you'll start doing the research, and in my experience of teaching, there's a lot of times where you're trying to explain something to somebody, and if they don't understand the definitions, the words within the definition itself, how are they going to understand the definition, right? And I would argue that most of the people that don't know this information come from, right, a place or a family or a society or a religion, whatever, that doesn't have this information or isn't teaching this information. So I'm trying to bring it as commonly as possible because, coming from the hood, I didn't have this information. And even then, after going to schools and arguably like pretty good schools, like still a lot of this information wasn't taught. But guess what I learned going to school? I learned how to learn. And then you get to decide what you want to learn about. And, I was going through life, da 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 da. And, they say like you reap what you sow. And being somebody that like overall, like I'm not saying I never got in trouble with little things with the law, but like overall, like, everything's okay. Like stop at the stop sign, everything's cool. But I also really tried hard to be like biblically sound, even like once teaching the Bible. And then, it was very big to me to not be preaching what I'm not practicing. Like that's just in my moral code is I can't tell you to do something that I'm not doing. So it's like if I'm doing things right, there's a spectrum. But if I'm quote unquote being a good person, then why do bad things keep happening? And I would argue that it was because there was many lessons that I had yet to learn, right? I needed to recognize the patterns and the lessons that were happening across different individuals and situations and jobs to be like, hey, why are you in these situations? I like one quick thing that I'll touch on is victim mentality. When it's like all these things keep happening to me, and it's like for sure when you're first there, I'm giving you a hug because it feels like shit. Excuse my French. It doesn't feel good at all. And in that moment that you realize that you are someone who is saying things keep happening to me, you need to take yourself and look at it and say, what am I doing to get myself in these situations? That is how you take your power back. Because, chances are if you tell the story to anybody, you might be the victim, quote unquote. But like, you cannot live from a place of saying things are happening to me. You need to take life by the horns and say, hey, I'm attracting this lesson because I need to learn it. So what is the lesson, right? Thank you. So let's talk about anything else. I would just say that the state of the world is, we know, cray. So this is my contribution to trying to help people, because if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change, right? As we all start to heal, we have a ripple effect upon other people. And, I'm somebody that doesn't necessarily like social media or being in front of people, but I also really do because I love people. I like talking to them. I like making them feel good. Like it makes me feel good. But it's something about the social media portion that I never liked. But anyway, the point is that I'm overcoming myself to be like, this was not given to me so that I could keep it to myself. That's actually very selfish. There's a quote that says, a gift is only a gift if you give it. So I'm trying to give, right? And as we all start to heal and, for instance, have regulated nervous systems, and we're not triggering each other out here or being triggered and then having actions that are, how do you say, like, outweigh what the situation really entailed to begin with. We're all going to take a second, if you're with me, to look at ourselves, heal ourselves, and then bring that into the world. Like, you don't necessarily have to do what I'm doing, but even the people you interact with, the small nuggets of love that you give people is going to make a change. Okay? So yay, we're here. I am working on an app. It's pretty much done, to be honest, but I'm trying to really think about how to bring this to everybody in a very safe way, right? When we're on our healing journey, we don't want to go from A to Z even, let's say, for example, you want to travel the world. I've traveled a lot of Asia at this point, and there's lessons that you need to learn before traveling the world. Like, do you know how to pivot when something goes wrong? Do you know how to be self-sufficient? Do you know how to save your money? Do you know how to do visas? Do you know how to book flights, right? These are all lessons you need to learn in order to actually have your goal of quote unquote traveling. So if you just are like, I'm going to go, and now you can't maintain that, that's kind of the point that I'm making with my app is I am helping you to get down to the root of your problems as quickly as possible because, right, being aware is one thing, but actually integrating is another. And even as we go through these discussions, like there's going to be topics where it's like, oh, I already knew this. Then why aren't you applying it? I love you. Sorry. Right? The point is that if we truly understood, we would be applying these things and we wouldn't be scared to do these things, to be ourselves. So I just want to make sure that people are safe using this because let's say, for example, if you've never heard of nervous system regulation, chances are you should probably be working on that before you're looking at all your traumas, right? Because you're gonna feel safer. You're gonna have tools that help you feel okay while you're looking at like the worst moments in your life. And if you're like me and have had a lot of trauma, it takes time to like weed through everything. And I just want to make sure that everybody's safe. But app coming soon. And if you want to donate, please do, because it'll continue this channel going. It will continue my app developing. I also, right, there was a time where I was a little bit scared, obviously. So I have like projects from the past, like especially music, that maybe I'll release some of it for you guys. I will release some of it. I also have a podcast that I did that I really want to work on, or that I would like to release. I'm sure I have other projects that I kind of forgot about, but like being a creative, that was my outlet for a lot of my emotions. But, you know, fear of being seen and people pleasing and distractions, right? All of the excuses. We're done with the excuses. Okay? With love. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Is there anything else to tell you guys? Well, as you continue to listen to these discussions, hopefully, I hope you find something meaningful and that you write or take a mental note of the things you actually want to apply, because just being aware isn't healing. You have to actually integrate. And we'll talk about how to do that and different concepts that I just think are very important for people to learn. I'm going to go through different research that I've come across, and if I go into like my real nerd self with everything, we're never going to get past the first lesson. So I'm doing a general research overview, explaining it in my own perception and my own spirituality and experience. And then in extended videos, I'll actually probably talk a little bit more about my experience and then tools that I would suggest for people to actually apply these things. And is there anything else? I'm just really happy that you guys are here, because to take a healing journey, and even like if this comes on your For You, whatever, it means that you're on this path somewhat, and it's a big deal, and your life is going to change, and the healing journey kind of lasts as long as you need it to, which is why my app is there to kind of help you figure out how quickly. I just want like to figure out what you need to heal is one thing. So if we can identify it, all you have to do is integrate it, right? That's kind of the synopsis behind it. And yeah, I'm just proud of you because it might take some time and it's gonna hurt a little bit, but it's gonna hurt way more to look back at your life and say, hey, I was living for everybody else. And I didn't follow my heart. I didn't go for my dreams, right? So it's super exciting that we're here. And I hope to see you in these future discussions. I just feel like I'm missing something. That's why I'm stalling on my way out. But yeah, app coming soon. Donate below. Stay tuned in and stay tuned for my next lessons discussions. And yeah, see you soon. Thank you for the support. Bye.